Asad Ahmed, this is what's on BBC London this evening. A West London school pays tribute to teenage student Sara Al-Hawas, who died alongside her parents after getting into difficulty in open water. It's left local people shocked.
She seemed like a very sweet girl, and I used to be in the school, so I'm pretty sure I've seen her. And it was just such a tragedy for someone so young to pass away.
We talked to the RNLI about what people need to be aware of by the water. Also on the programme, police launch a murder investigation after a person dies in a fire in Hounslow. We have a special investigation looking at the increase in sextortion cases, and we hear from a victim. Good evening. A school in West London has paid tribute to a teenage student who died alongside her father and mother after getting into difficulty in water off the coast of Shoreham. 14-year-old Sara Al-Hawas attended the Ellen Wilkinson School for Girls in Ealing, who said Sara was a well-liked girl by both staff and pupils. She was in Shoreham on Tuesday when she drowned alongside her parents Hassan and Zaina. Sara's younger sister, who was also in the water, is in a critical condition in hospital. Bryony Williams is outside the school for us this evening. Bryony.
Yes, it's been quite a strange day here because we've had people coming in to collect their GCSE results knowing that a student has died. There have been floral tributes laid outside the school gates. One of the notes on them reads, "For Sara, may you all rest in peace. You will be missed by many." The school says it will put in extra support for those who are affected. And earlier on, they allowed me inside to see the special tribute they have for Sara in reception. A candle burning bright for a 14-year-old whose life was cut short. Sara Al-Hawas was a Year 8 pupil at Ellen Wilkinson School for Girls. Teenagers picking up GCSE results today have been reflecting on the loss of the student.
As soon as I saw her photo in the reception, I was just like, honestly, I just thanked God for everything. And when I first found out, I was very shocked because she seemed like a very sweet girl, and I used to be in the school, so I'm pretty sure I've seen her. And it was just such a tragedy for someone so young to, pass away.
In a statement on the school website, it says Sara was a sweet girl, well liked by staff and students. Our thoughts and heartfelt condolences are with her family, friends and all those affected. On Tuesday afternoon, emergency services were called to reports of 4 people in difficulty in the sea close to Shoreham Port in West Sussex. It's believed the family travelled down from their home in London to visit Shoreham, entered the water from the beach before getting into trouble. Despite desperate attempts to save them, Hassan Al-Hawas, his partner Zaina Elaine and their daughter Sara were all confirmed deceased at the scene. Sara's younger sister remains in hospital in a critical condition. The Palestinian Forum says that the family were British citizens of Palestinian origin and in a statement say, like many Palestinian families, members of their extended family have lived in Britain for many years and have built a strong and close-knit community here. Our thoughts and prayers are with the entire family, particularly the children who are facing an unimaginable loss. Floral tributes have been laid on the beach in Shoreham, and yesterday Prime Minister Andy Burnham described it as a terrible family tragedy and warned of the dangers of open water swimming. Sussex police, who are investigating the incident, say they will release further updates as soon as they are able. Bryony Williams, BBC London.
Well, I'm going to speak now to Guy Addington, who's the water safety lead for the RNLI in the South East. Thank you so much for joining us this evening, sir. Mr. Addington, I'm going to start by acknowledging the many people who have praised the RNLI and the emergency services for tirelessly trying to save the Al-Hawas family on Tuesday, and many other people who've got into difficulty in the water this summer. But my first question to you, sir, is despite the numerous warnings, people are still going into open water thinking they'll be fine. What are they missing? What are they getting so wrong?
Good evening, Assad, and thank you so much for having me on. And I want to start my piece by expressing our deepest condolences to anybody affected by the most recent incident. It's truly awful. Your question is really well struck, and we spend a lot of our time trying to convey important water safety messages out to anybody that wants to visit the seaside. We have a fantastic coastal environment here in the UK, many amazing destinations, and of course people want to visit the seaside. And we're just really keen that people are able to do that safely, armed with the right information. And there are a number of things that can catch people out when it comes to open water, and particularly coastal water and the sea. There are things like tides, and many people don't fully understand the concept of tides. The tide generally comes in and goes out twice a day, and that time changes every day and can set up significant water movement that can catch people out. People get cut off by the tide in certain areas along the coast where tidal cut-off can be a problem. And then, of course, we have wave energy, and waves can catch even the strongest swimmers unawares. Things like rip currents can be set up where you have water coming onto the beach. And of course, generally the water is still cold, colder than you would expect in a swimming pool, and very much colder than the air temperature. And it's still a temperature gradient, a temperature difference that can take one's breath away and induce a panic response and a cold shock response. There are also entrapment hazards, rocks and things that you can get caught up in. So there's a range of different hazards that people may not fully appreciate if they're not used to the coastal environment.
Thank you for that, Miss Addington, for explaining that. But can you also explain to us very briefly, if someone does get into trouble and the panic kicks in, as you say it does, what's the one bit of advice? What do they do?
That's a great question. And for the last few years, we've been really trying to push hard our float to live message. And the message is simple. If you find yourself struggling in water, and particularly if that's unexpectedly, or particularly if the water is cold, then remember, float to live. And the advice is, if you, instead of sort of succumbing to that cold shock and panic response, the instinct is to thrash around and swim hard. Instead, it's important to try to relax. Try and float on the back, press the back of the head and the ears submerged into the water, and that will promote a chest and face up position. And a little bit of gentle paddling with the arms and legs can help, but you're really trying to regulate your breathing and regulate your immediate panic response. Yeah. That response will pass in just a couple of minutes, and that buys you valuable time to plan your next move, which might be to shout for help, or it might be to swim for safety. But what you're doing there is expanding that window of opportunity for rescue.
Which
so
is
remember
so important.
The float to live message.
Yeah, that's so important, and thank you again for that advice. For so many of us, the RNLI team are heroes. I know you're volunteers as well. Please send them our best wishes. Many thanks for your time, Guy Addington.
Thank you.
Well, this is BBC London. Lots more to come on the programme, including we have a special investigation looking at an increase in sextortion cases, and we hear from a victim.
Yes, of course, maths. Yes, and of course English. Yes.
And it's another record-breaking set of GCSE results for London students. A murder investigation is underway after a woman died and 8 others were injured following a house fire in Hounslow. Officers were called to a property on Berkeley Avenue in the early hours of yesterday morning. Lakshmi Gopal has been in the area today.
Behind me you can see the extent of the damage. Part of the window upstairs is missing and the fire damage has got all the way up to the roof. Just beyond the house is the main road on that side, and on the other side is a long avenue of rows of houses. Police were called to this house at just after 1 o'clock yesterday morning. 9 people were taken to hospital, 6 men and 3 women. One of the women, a 48-year-old, has sadly died. Another woman, who's aged 40, is still in a critical condition. Officers say they haven't made any arrests yet, but they believe that the fire may have been started deliberately. A lot of the people I spoke to today didn't want to go on camera, but said they were shocked by what happened. The Met Police say their thoughts are with the victim's family and with everyone who was injured. 7 of the people who were taken to hospital to be treated for minor injuries have now been discharged. Officers say they'll remain in the area. In fact, just across the road from me is a police car. The force say that they believe the incident is isolated to a single property, but They also say they understand the level of concern in the local community. They're asking anyone with any doorbell footage or dashcam footage that may be of use to come forward as they continue their murder investigation.
Lakshmi Gopal there. Now, a crime that's risen sharply in recent years is the crime of sextortion. It's when someone threatens to share intimate images to blackmail or exercise control over the victim. Well, the number of sextortion reports to the Metropolitan Police rose by more than 80% compared to the year before. One woman, who was controlled by a man who had intimate pictures of her, has spoken to our investigations correspondent Guy Lynn about what happened, and a warning: you may find some of the details distressing.
You hear these stories, you know it happens, yet you never think it can happen to you.
This is Emma, not her real name. At 17, she met a 26-year-old man on a dating site, and they arranged a video call. Trusting him, she undressed, unaware he was taking screenshots. During a year-long relationship, he obtained more naked pictures and used them to control her.
The main threat that he would use was that he would expose pictures of me. It's one of those, your heart drops, time stands still. If I were to end the relationship, he would expose them. If I were to not do what he said, he would expose them. You're a teenager, so you've already got the teenage problems. And to have something like that happen when you haven't even started your life, it stops it, ruins it. You don't really see a future anymore after it.
Threatening to share intimate images to control or extort someone is known as sextortion. For Emma, it was a partner. In other cases, it's strangers.
Hey.
Hiding behind fake profiles to get images and then demand money. This National Crime Agency awareness film with actors shows how quickly the threats start.
You're being blackmailed.
Your contacts have been downloaded. The film will be shared with your friends, your family, your workmates,
everyone you know.
Unless you pay.
The Metropolitan Police recorded nearly 1,000 blackmail offences mentioning sextortion last year, up 84% on the year before.
Hello, you're through to someone you can talk to at Childline.
And more children are turning to Childline, the support service, over threats to share sexual images. Counselling sessions here have risen by more than 50% in a year.
When children are contacting Childline, they talk about feeling incredibly distressed. They're feeling scared, alone and vulnerable. They're really worried about what their family or friends might think about this, so they can feel really isolated as well.
The charity, the NSPCC, says the technology to stop children taking, viewing or sharing nude images already exists, and tech companies should switch it on. In June, the government gave them 3 months to show meaningful progress or face new laws. The rise in reports may partly be greater awareness. The National Crime Agency urges victims to always come forward.
In policing, we will say 100 times out of 100, this is never your fault. You have been coerced, you've been cajoled, you've been manipulated, you've been threatened. Always, if you can, report it, because that offender could be doing this to a number of other people too.
I have to wake up every single day and pick up the pieces. I have to drag something that someone has put on me. And that's unfair. I didn't ask for it.
Emma agreed to speak, hoping her story may help others facing the same threat.
Firstly, you're not alone. That was my biggest enemy. I thought I was completely alone because they make you feel that way. It happens so much more than you think, and there is a whole community out there that will help you and protect you.
Guy Lynn, BBC London.
And if you found yourself the victim of sextortion or a similar crime, help and advice is available in strict confidence, and it's through the BBC Action Line, details on your screen. But now a moment to take a look at some more local stories in the headlines today. Thames Water has warned that the current hosepipe ban could last towards the end of the year. It's urging customers to continue to use as little water as possible. Kew Gardens has put forward a strong contender in the contest for the world's strongest giant lily pad. A single leaf from a giant Victoria Boliviana water lily at the Gardens has come in at an astonishing 102 kilograms. Amazing. And visitors to the Tower of London will be seeing animal puppets as well as beefeaters. The show is called Imagining Animals and part of the project with historic royal palaces. Some councils in London are facing a shortfall in their finances, which runs into many millions of pounds. According to analysts by the BBC, Barnet has a funding gap of over £100 million, with Croydon and Havering not far behind. Well, Thomas McGill has been looking at the numbers. Thomas, tell us.
Yes, thank you, Assad. And these are eye-watering figures that we're talking about. The BBC has been looking at the funding gap between revenue councils receive from things like council tax, parking charges and central government grants to spend on services like adult social care, bin collections, our roads and some housing functions. London councils, who represent all local authorities in the capital, say the funding gap is around £1.3 billion for next year alone. If you take that over the next 4 years, it equates to a staggering £5.2 billion. And this could have a big impact on all of us going forward in terms of the council tax bills we pay and what services councils will be able to fund going forward. The Deputy Chair of London Councils, Cam Rai, says the main reason for the funding gap is growing demand on some services, and tough challenges and decisions will have to be made in the future.
The demand in particular areas like social care, children's services and housing, and the real increase in children with special educational needs means that the vast majority of the money is being spent in those areas, rightly so, but that's becoming so much more difficult for people to think of different ways of being innovative. It is very, very difficult, and I think that in every area, I'm sure that councillors will be having sleepless nights making decisions about where they spend their money and where they allocate the money.
Well, the BBC Shared Data Unit has drilled down into these figures a bit more, and it seems some councils are struggling more than others, including Croydon, Havering and Westminster, who are all facing gaps worth tens of millions of pounds. In North London, Barnet Council is projected to have the second highest black hole in all of England, worth over £113 million. They say they're working on measures to reduce this gap. Meanwhile, we also know Newham Council is planning to make savings of almost £55 million this year. That's the highest of any London borough. Katie Ogden from the Institute of Fiscal Studies says councils only have a limited number of options available to raise more revenue.
They can try to raise more, or they can look at where to make savings. Many will be trying to do both of those things. Some councils in Inner London, Camden, Westminster, Wandsworth are seeing big cuts in their funding year on year. Actually, some parts of Outer London, like Hounslow, Havering, Hillingdon, are actually seeing big increases in their funding year on year. So these pressures are very acute in some places and will be a little bit easier to manage in others.
And all the local authorities we have spoken to say they simply need more cash from central government. They say £78 million is being made available to local authorities across the country this year. That's that.
Thomas McGill, thanks very much for that eye-watering amounts of money. Now you're watching BBC London, still to come before 7.
To their fans, Arsenal's title win was a work of art. And on the eve of the new Premier League season, I'm at an exhibition celebrating the club's heritage.
London's GCSE students have shown that whatever A-level students can do, they can match. They've both now come top in the country when it comes to their exam results. Today, we learned that almost a third of all London GCSE students achieved a grade 7 or above. That's equivalent to an A in old money. Jem O'Reilly spent the morning at a school in Bexley Heath.
Yes, of course, maths. Yes. Yes, and of course English. Yes.
It's a day full of emotion and for many surprises as their future becomes all the more clear, all through opening that paper envelope.
Last night I was sleeping and I dreamt that I failed English literature. But I was so, like, when I opened the result, I literally screamed.
I'm surprised by my Spanish grade. I've never gotten anything above a 7, which is like an A, I think.
London led the way last year when it came to GCSE results, and this year is even better, with nearly 29% of scores issued in the capital at grade 7 or above, the equivalent to an A. And it's important to future-proof young people as industries change too.
At Key Stage 3, we believe in offering our students a range of different subjects to make sure they've got a broad and balanced curriculum. But the subjects that we select are always going to be a potential career opportunity for them. Health and social care, going all the way into nursing, thinking about computer science, and they can become coders in the future.
I'm happy because obviously I only need about a few 5s in science, which I do have for my physics to get into my course in college for my electrical installation. So I'm very pleased with my very pleased with my stuff.
But of course, among grades and picking colleges, it's passion that matters.
I want to get into sales. I think it'll be good for me because I like competition. I like I love working hard. I love climbing up the ranks. It gives me some type of purpose. And then for me, overall in life, I'm in pursuit of happiness. You know, I just want to find happiness.
Jem O'Reilly, BBC London.
On the subject of Arsenal are being celebrated in an art exhibition which has opened around the corner from the Emirates Stadium, and Chris is there for us this evening. I guess there's no shortage of strong images, Chris.
Yeah, Asad, and no shortage of inspiration for Arsenal fans right now. And the artist, you won't be surprised to hear, is an Arsenal fan. She's with me now, Gail. Gail, you were telling me you took your inspiration from the Emirates and from Highbury, the old stadium.
Yeah, absolutely. My art is about architecture and space, and this project is called Arsenal at Home. Both the old and the new stadium are right on my doorstep, and I love the fact that they're right at the heart of the community and enjoyed by art and of course football fans. From myself, I think I'm excited by the architecture, the uprights and angles of Highbury, and then the sweeps and curves of the walkways.
And how do you bring your work together?
So I'm a collage artist. I love to take photos first and then print them out, cut them up and layer them up with drawing and painting. There's never a plan. I'm just excited to make a familiar landscape that becomes reimagined and quite dreamscape-like. And hopefully this project will appeal to art lovers and football fans alike.
I think it certainly does, Gail. Stunning work to come and see. The exhibition here, Arsenal at Home, 111 Highbury Park. It's running until Sunday. I'm sure Gail is going to get plenty of footfall before that huge match tomorrow night. Premier League season begins. Arsenal against Coventry tomorrow. Asad.
Chris, thanks very much for that. OK, let's go straight over to Sara now for the weather forecast. And it is cooler, but it's still warm out there.
I mean, it's only average for the time of year, you know what I mean? So, yeah, it does feel cooler, but it's only what we would expect. The big thing is, I didn't bring my umbrella. Did you bring one today?
I did, actually.
Oh, well done. No, that's
I watched
good.
the weather forecast.
Yeah, that's right. I didn't know what was going to happen, honestly, obviously. But the thing is that it's showers and they're really hit and miss. And the reason why I asked Asad that is because I think almost everyone who brought their umbrella actually didn't need it. But if you didn't bring it, then you definitely did need it. It's been that kind of day, because it has been sunshine and showers. More of that for tomorrow, but then the weekend we're all settled again. It's going to be dry once more, so that much needed rain is fading away. And as I say, we didn't all see those showers. You can see they're sort of pivoting around an area of low pressure today. Those that did come through, particularly out towards Medway, were very lively with some hail and thunder mixed in as these little trough features just sort of sunk southwards across the country. More of that for tomorrow, but after that it's high pressure building in. That of course keeps us dry and settled. That'll be with us through the weekend. Then some warmth returns next week. But overnight tonight, just a few showers around still through this evening. They tend to clear by tomorrow morning. You can see though that we've got quite a bit of cloud, particularly out towards East London, towards the west, clearer here. Temperatures down as low rurally as 9 degrees. We've not seen that for a while. So a little bit of a nip in the air tomorrow morning. There'll be another one on Saturday morning, mind you. And then a few showers again coming in. They're most likely towards East London tomorrow afternoon into the evening. Any of us could pick one up. There aren't quite as many as were around today, but if you do catch one, it could be quite lively. Here we go. 21, 22. That is average for the time of year. So yes, feels a bit cooler, but it's about where we should be. Here is Saturday morning. As I say, bit of a nip in the air first thing on Saturday morning, but then it's dry with lots of sunshine because of that high pressure that we see, 22 or 23 degrees. Then with that high pressure, we're going to start to drag up our air from the south again next week. That is going to boost our temperatures, but it's not entirely settled. So there will be further spells of rain. Could be 26 degrees towards the end of next week.
Yeah, temperatures pick up again. Sara, thanks very much. OK, well, that's it for now. Sonia will be here with our late news at 10:30. Before then, you can go to the BBC London website to see what an underwater drone looks like and why it can make the difference between life and death. From all of us on the BBC London team, have a good evening. Bye-bye.